Yo, what up? What up? What up, y'all? Happy Friday. Happy summer. I am Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goody Nation, and we have an absolute amazing set of guests today for this workshop, this live stream on sales. Okay, you all know, or many of you all know about Goody Nation, just in case you don't. We are focused on closing the relationship gap in the innovation economy. And part of that gap is access to information that you need to advance your personal life, your professional life, whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you work for somebody else, which is totally okay, by the way. But this particular session is focused on sales for entrepreneurs. And in today's economy, sales will separate everybody from each other, right? So we have our Grow with Google coach for the Southeast, Anastasia Simon. We have Seth Banks, founder and managing director of TrueSeed, an absolute beast when it comes to sales, y'all. And they're going to tag team and do an amazing session for you. So sit back and lock in for about 60 minutes or so, and we'll go from there. And so before I kick it to them for their intros, just two things about how this works. One, Seth will begin. He'll be talking about some strategies around sales, and he'll break that down for you. I'm not going to steal his glory. And then two, Anastasia will come back to show you how you can use Google's AI tools to do the same thing that Seth kind of teaches you about, right? Now, in the interim, feel free to drop your questions as comments and things of that nature. We'll look to get them answered along the way. All right. So before we begin, Anastasia, I want to kick it to you for intro.
Awesome. Thanks, Joey. And I'm excited too to be learning from Seth today because sales is definitely the great separator when it comes to running a successful business, especially in this economy. So I am Anastasia Simon. I am the Grow with Google Southeast coach. Just to give you a little bit of background, I started my career in the fashion industry, pivoted from that into tech where I was doing sales and marketing at a couple local startups here in Atlanta, mostly focused on the apparel sector and then also in the music tech space, which was both were really fun, but not glamorous fun, just a fun kind of time. From there, transitioned into venture capital, where I spent 6 years, 3 of which working at Shadow Ventures as a senior associate, and then another 3 years with Techstars. And my whole core and kind of my mission and vision is really to support entrepreneurs at every stage, getting them the access to the resources and tools they need to grow. And I'm going to tell you again, right now, today in 2026, the access that you need, the resource you need is capital and customers. And we're going to talk about getting the capital through the customers today, which is what his sales are. So thanks, Joey. And I'm going to kick it over to Seth.
Oh, you're on mute, Seth.
The great opposition, the mute. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let me pull up screen here, and we're going to have a fantastic session for you all today. Again, my name is Seth Banks. I am the managing director of TrueSeed, and how you all can think about me is your fractional sales director. Okay. I have been in sales for the last 10 years of my life, and not only by working with Goody Nation, but also actually in the weeds of selling across many different segments. I also come from a background of SMB folks. So small, medium-sized businesses actually just live all throughout my family on the maternal and also the paternal side. So the world of entrepreneurship is just all inside of me and also around me. I'm really excited today because we're going to be focusing on exactly what Anastasia just mentioned, which is how do you scale revenue through acquisition of new customers? And a lot of times the perspective that we tend to bring in when we think about scaling revenue tends to be with a focus of marketing in terms of we just need more exposure, right? But exposure without messaging is going to fail. right? The right messaging. And so today I think it's critical for us to lay the foundation of that first step when you're thinking about marketing and when you're thinking about scaling revenue, to have an understanding and also be able to audit yourself on whether or not your messaging is built for conversion, right? So just a little bit of background outside of my sales experience. We've been teaching sales for the last 5 years, okay? And I would say as a fractional sales director and a sales director for multiple startups, right, what tends to be the blue chip of sales is B2B sales, right? Because those are usually your toughest deals that you have to close in the world of sales. If you know account executives or folks who are primarily in the sales role, they will tell you, yeah, that's usually, the highest reward, but also the largest challenge, right? But again, entrepreneurship is not just about focusing on those founders of tech businesses. You can be a small to medium-sized business and still be very successful, as many of you probably already know, right? And so anywhere from, let's say, low six figures to high six figures to 7 figures, that's all success, right? At the end of the day, we're all playing the same game, all right? So over the last, I would say, 4 years of my experience, I specifically have been working with entrepreneurs and helping them to understand what is your sales playbook, right? So when you think about this, again, a lot of this is going to be mindset. It's going to be a lot of psychology, but I want you to think about the sales playbook that you have to build. Now, this is something that you typically will not see in a lot of SMB conversations when you're thinking about how to scale your business, right? Because that information and those resources are usually a little bit further up market in segments of where your business has scaled to in terms of revenue and employee size. So we're bringing that experience down to the folks who actually are the superheroes, which in my opinion are the entrepreneurs, and equipping you all with that, all right? So let's talk a little bit about where messaging typically breaks down, okay? There's 4 areas. And where I want to start is where we tend to see that these entrepreneurs in the SMB space will tend to go towards a marketing perspective. And when you bring someone in on the marketing side to create messaging, what tends to happen is that that marketing person is guessing at what is working in the sales conversations, because they're not in the sales cycle. They're not in the sales process. They're not engaging with that potential customer day in, day out, hearing the objections, hearing the key things that are really going to stand out in terms of converting, right? So even when you're thinking about creating your website, a lot of language is generated by AI. A lot of what you typically will take is a template from maybe websites that will give you a starting point. And that's completely fine, right? But if you have no messaging that's coming from the customer's actual words, then you're setting yourself up for failure. Okay. So that's the first, right? First is that marketing usually is guessing what is really selling in those conversations. The second is a plateau. And what I mean by plateau is maybe you have grown your business to a certain amount of revenue, and then you start to flatline. Right, you can't understand. You're not really churning customers. You guys aren't doing bad, but you're not doing great. And you're trying to figure out, how do we get over to that hump? So what your approach will probably result to is, well, let's go spend more money on ads. Let's go spend more money on social media, right? Let's just invest. Now, the problem is that if your instinct is to spend more with the same messaging that you've used to get where you're currently at, the more money that you're spending, the less return you're going to get on that dollar, right? And so what you have to do is analyze your messaging to make sure that if you are going to invest into a new marketing channel, right, for more customers, more leads, more prospects, that messaging has to be on point, right? Because it has to be worth. We got to give our best shot if we're going to spend money for new customers, okay? The third is converting language never reaches the website. Right. So a lot of our language is usually communicated. Our customers have to have a conversation with us specifically in order for them to get a full understanding of what it is that we actually do and how we actually help them. Right. Your website is your first salesperson. So if you think about that, how do you want your potential prospect to experience your brand and the value that you offer when they're not in front of you. You may be a small business owner and maybe you don't have high competition on a digital landscape. So your website might be just a landing page, right? But that still needs to be impactful enough for them to be warmed for your next conversation or the next step in towards actually making a purchase or becoming a client, right? Now, those of you that are very competitive in the digital landscape, you definitely need to make sure that your language needs to be where it's at and it needs to be converting because you're competing with other folks who probably have a good flow, right? So that's another reason why the messaging breaks down is because it never reaches to the website. It stays in the entrepreneur's head, the CEO, you know, whoever's leading the company. All right. Last but not least is documentation, right? And the reason why documentation is important is because we cannot iterate if we always have to start from zero. What do I mean by that? If you don't have this written down, right, whenever you think about turning on a new channel for messaging or bringing someone else in to help you with how you all want to improve how you're going to market, you're going to be starting from whatever you've built, probably in the spaces of creating that marketing collateral. That might be through Canva, that might be through your maybe your AI chats, right? You need a North Star with all of the important information, the infographics about your clients, your customers, and why your business matters to them, why your solution or your service matters to them. All right. So if any of these are applicable to you, you're in the right room. Okay. And you can be any type of entrepreneur. This is applicable to everyone who needs to scale in revenue. All right. So let's talk about where your best messaging lives. All right. Now, as you've already heard me communicate, it's in your sales conversations. What do I mean by that? Your customers, the folks who have already decided to trust you, they have already told you exactly what to say to everyone else, right? What do I mean by that? This is where you get the feedback, and we should be creating a feedback loop in terms of asking, hey, what made you choose our solution or our service, right? What were you experiencing? Let me gather that. Let me take that data and then let's turn that and use it to attract more folks. Okay. So sales drives messaging. It's not the other way around. In typical situations, when you think about organizations that have different departments for sales and marketing, you will find it common that there's usually a butting of heads, right, between sales and marketing. Why? Because marketing wants to get excited and take messaging and create messaging that they believe is what is most important and what they see about the product that they believe the customer will be attracted to. Sales will communicate to marketing and say, hey, that is nice. That's a cool feature. That's a new thing that we're doing. That's a new product line. But we still need to use what we know the customers are communicating to us as far as why we are winning deals. Why are we closing customers? That's the language we want to use. So it's not sales and marketing, okay? I want to eliminate that today. What I want to do is bring us together. It's marketing, okay? We are living in the same house. We are in a happy marriage. We are together forever. It's marketing. It's not sales and marketing. It's marketing, okay? Because sales needs to give what is needed for marketing to be awesome, to be amazing, right? Think of sales as your engine, and then the body would be the Ferrari, okay? So that's what's going to attract folks to us. But if we don't have sales down packed, then we're not going anywhere, all right? So the words that closes the clients are the words that are going to attract new customers. Also, we need to document the experience. So I want you to be thinking throughout this session. I'm going to push you to think about the life cycle of your customers and your clients, and then use the messaging at those frames of life cycle. What do I mean by that? Pre-engagement, right? Capture the world that your customer or your client is experiencing before they ever come to you. Okay. Now, how do they feel? Right? What changed during the work or the process or whatever the signal or the trigger was before they met you? You want to capture that, right? Then what happened during the process, right? This is the feedback loop you should be gathering and the data you should be pulling from your clients and your customers as they are working with you, because again, we're going to reflect that back to the front of our marketing so that folks can see this is what I can expect. This is exactly what I'm looking for. All right. And then last but not least, after, what were the results? How did this customer feel? What's descriptive? What's the pain that was alleviated? What's the success that they saw, right? It could be lots of things. We're going to double tap into that in just a second. All right. And then the third part of this is that the AI is going to fill the gap. So notice how I didn't start with AI, but we're going to allow AI to assist us, right? So the sales expert that you don't have, right? The sales director that you don't have, we are blessed and privileged to have a tool such as AI technology that can fill in that gap for us. Okay. So instead of just taking all of our language from AI and allowing for that to be recognizable when we are communicating with potential prospects, folks can sense that in seconds, right? You have the long hyphenated, the dashes, the hyphens. That's a key tell sign that you use AI, right? So if you're going to use that and you're not going to take out that language, then you need to make sure that it's damn good, right? It has to be almost perfect if you're going to signal that you use AI to create your messaging. All right. If this is resonating, please let me know in the comments. And if you have questions, please feel free to hop in. Again, I'm your fractional sales director, and we're going to knock some stuff out today. All right. So this is what you're going to walk away with. All right. Here's my promise to you. You're going to walk away knowing today exactly who your best customer is, what they care about, and how to talk about your business in a way that makes customers say yes. That repetition, it seems like it's something that we should automatically just be great at, but it's the repetition and the discipline and feeling comfortable that allows for you to excel when you're speaking to those customers and getting better over time. Okay. So one, you're going to have your ideal customer, right? We're going to use the acronym ICP, right, which stands for Ideal Customer Profile. You're going to have that leaving today. It's a clear description of who buys from you, who pays on time, and who refers others. All right. You're also going to leave with their top 3 problems. If you already don't have that, I want you to audit yourself and think about whether or not your problems that you communicate of your customers or your clients, if it's still true, right? Or if it can be stronger. If it's weak, great. You're going to have those pains ironed out. And then last but not least, you're going to leave with your core message. All right. And that's going to be a one-liner that speaks their language. I help blank solve blank so that they can blank. You're going to have that today. And then that's what you need to go to market with. All right. Now, let's dive into the framework. We're going to double tap into each one of these, but I just want to hit them really quickly. Right. Who is your best customer? What problems do they actually have? How do you solve it better? And then how do you turn that into language that sells? That's the next layer of this. This is your framework that you can apply. If you want these slides, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, connect with me, and please share that you need these slides, because this framework can work across any applicable business that you are either running today or in the future. You can share it with folks. This is how you want to get to your ICP. All right. So let's dive into it. Who is your best customer? All right. The answer to that is not everyone. All right. Everyone that calls us, everyone that reaches out to us, that does not mean that they are a great customer or they need to be our customer. Okay. They're going to be the folks that pay on time. They're going to be the folks that refer us to other people. They're going to be our superstar fans, and they're the easiest to work with. Right? The easiest to work with. So here is the question I have for you. What type of customer gives you the least headaches? I want you to really be descriptive about this, right? Think about the jobs that went smooth for you. Think about who was the other person on the other side that you worked with, and you could see common traits between those customers that you loved working with, right? The second question is, what do your best customers have in common? And I want you to think industry. I want you to think the size of your clients in terms of maybe how many, if you're business to business, right? Are these small businesses that are less than 5 employees, 10 employees? Maybe it's 50, who knows, right? If it's applicable, great. If not, you can still apply, right? Do they all have the same problem, or are there different problems? Do you all have more success with solving one problem over another? Okay. And then last but not least, who repeats or refers you the most? Okay. And I'm not talking about your friends. I'm talking about the folks that you never met until you had a relationship where there was an exchange of currency for value, And I want you to think about those customers who would send you more business, because those are going to be the type of people that we're going to create messaging for. All right. So that's the first part of your ICP. You need to get descriptive about who your best customer is. Secondly, we need to actually detail out what problems that they have. All right. A key in sales is to not sell the product that you're offering or the service that you're offering. Sell the pain that you are solving. That is what you want to lead with, right? The pain is already being experienced. It already leads and lives in their minds every single day, right? And psychology of sales tells us that if you can articulate a customer's pain better than they can, they automatically look to you as being the person that can solve it. Okay. So how do you articulate that? How do you get there? Well, you want to think about, well, what's broken before they actually call you, right? Is it, but name it in their words. That's what's most important, right? Because there are a ton of different types of businesses out there in industries. All I would say is name it in their words. Do not name it in your entrepreneurship jargon. Name it in their language. Okay. The second is, what are they worried about? What are they really consumed with on a day-to-day basis? Is it cost? Is it time? Is it quality? Is it trust? Right? What is the loudest voice in their head? Get really descriptive about that. It might be more than one thing, and that's completely fine. Okay. Third is, what happens if they don't fix it? What happens if they don't fix it? Most folks do not know that the status quo is your biggest competitor. Right? Now, that does depend, right? It does depend on many different factors, but in most cases, you want to name what the status quo is, which is doing nothing. And if that problem exists, you want to attack it before they have a chance to resort to doing nothing. Okay. But that could also be downstream costs. That could also be stress. It could be just a bigger problem that's coming down the line, and that's completely fine. But make that real, right? You want to make sure that they understand what is the cost of us not doing anything, so that you have a better opportunity of standing out as the right solution. All right. So that is the second part of your ICP. What problems does your customer and client really have? This is work that you need to do yourself before you pass this to AI. And we're going to talk about how AI can scale that. All right. Third, how do you solve the problem better? Okay. How do you solve the problem better? Right. Everyone claims that they deliver the best quality. Everyone claims that they have the best service, but you need proof and you need specifics. Even before you have the results, you can still guarantee how you solve the problem and what you're willing to offer if you all do not solve the problem well. Okay. So I want to ask you all, hey, what makes you different from the other guy? Is it speed? Is it experience? Is it the money back guarantee? Is it the team that you went to assemble in order to deliver this? Is it because you're local and you understand your customers better in your region, in your area? Is it a specialized skill, right? Pick 2 to 3 of these and swear by it. Wear it on your chest. That's what you're going to go to market with, okay? Secondly, why should they trust you? This is what folks are looking to hear. So we have to answer this even if they don't ask. All right. Is it because you have a certain amount of years in the business? Is it due to the certifications that you have? Do you have notable clients? Is there insurance that you can put out there? Right. What's the real accountability here in order for us to exchange that feeling of trust? Because that's exactly what we're going to have to do in our sales cycle, whatever it is. Okay. Last but not least, what do past customers say about us? Okay, what do past customers say about us? These are real reviews, right? These are real folks. There tends to be I would say that there are a lot of stock photos that you can use in order to put quotes up. You don't have to do that, guys. You don't have to do that. Even if you're in your beginning stages, you don't have to fabricate real stories and real reviews in order to be credible. All right. I tell entrepreneurs that all the time. If you do have real stories and real reviews, take the time to go and gather that information and gather those quotes. Maybe that's real marketing, right? Like, how do we take the language from our customers and maybe we put that in a video format? And maybe now we have just a rolling feed of what all of our customers say about working with us, and make it authentic and as original as possible. Okay. You don't just gain trust because folks have 5 stars, right? There's going to have to be some other proof points there. Also, think about it. A lot of other businesses are doing that as well. Okay, so how do you stand out? And think about what really changed for them after experiencing your service. Okay, so that is question number 3. How do you solve the problem better than anyone else in this space? Right, and then you have these questions that help you get to that point. Right now, question 4 is going to be turning that language into what actually sells, right? So my question for you is, what is your formula for your value proposition? Every business needs to have a value proposition. And this is the formula for the value proposition. It's, I help blank, who that person is, solve this important problem so that they can achieve X outcome. And so when people ask you what you do, essentially, this is your elevator pitch, right? This is your elevator pitch. This is how you get to the root as fast as possible. When you share this, your ideal customer profile should raise their hand and say, oh, that's me, right? 1000%. No matter how you're generating the sale, if you have to pick up the phone and call your leads, this is the value proposition that you should be leading with. If your leads come to you and they start a conversation, you should be using this value proposition in that conversation. Even if you're using LinkedIn, if you're using email, whatever the channel or the method of communication is, you want your value proposition to live there, okay? What is an example of that? I help homeowners with aging roofs stop worrying about leaks so they can protect their biggest investment. It's a great value proposition, right? If you're a roofing business, okay? Now, notice how we're thinking about benefits and not features, right? We don't talk about all the things that we do well. We talk about who we help, the problem that we solve so that they can achieve that outcome, all right? 24/7 monitoring, that is a feature, right? You sleeping better at night is a benefit. That is an example of the difference, right? Buyers are going to buy the benefits, not the feature. So stop trying to sell more product lines and more features and sell the benefits. What is the experience? What is the pain that is alleviated by working with us? Okay, and again, you're going to use their words, not jargon. So when you get to this point, it's going to feel natural to, again, try to infuse your entrepreneur, your CEO, your founder language and your jargon into this messaging. But sales is about relationships and being relational. And you want to make this as simple as possible and as human as possible. Okay. That is how you turn the last 3 questions into this value proposition format. All right. Now, there's a toolkit that we are going to give you, which is our AI toolkit. There's 3 prompts, and this playbook is going to help you to accelerate these steps. Now, you don't have to be an AI expert to do this, right? But what we are going to do is make sure that after you run through these exercises and you answer these questions, you now have the information to give to the AI so that it understands your best customer type. It understands the pain points and the buying triggers, and then it's going to help you generate those messaging variations so that you can test it. Okay, so that's what we're going to run through now. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Anastasia, and we're going to walk you through that.
Awesome. So before we walk you through, before I share my screen, because I got 2 things that I want to show. As you were talking, Seth, there were 2 things that I thought about. And one was the documentation piece, because I think that overwhelms people. How do I take all of these customer conversations and analyze them and get all the data out of it, right? And what do I do with these customer conversations, right? But then there's also the handing it off to AI, right? Which we can so I'm going to show them both of those things with the playbooks that we already have built out. The other thing, though, that I wanted to say is when I tell you this was a master class in how to build your messaging, speaking as someone who has taught it in accelerators, someone who has lived it being an early stage marketer and salesperson, this is the blueprint, I really want people to understand that when you go from talking to your customers, taking everything, framing it, and you're just telling them back, you're telling it back to them. When you
That's
say,
it.
I help blank solve blank so they can blank, you're
Yep.
literally just telling them out over the course of those conversations you've had, you're telling it back to them in their own language, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs miss because we
Mhm.
want to sound like we are on the cutting edge of innovation. We want to sound like
Exactly.
we are super smart and we know all the things,
Yep.
and we are all of those things, right? But girl, you need to talk to me in a language that I understand. And I think
Exactly.
that's the thing that I want people to know. Meet your customer where they
Mhm.
are from a marketing and sales standpoint. You don't need to give them the over the top jargon. It doesn't need to sound super sexy.
Right.
You don't need
Right.
to give them the VC language. They don't know the VC language.
They don't know.
They just know I'm going to go to bed tonight and my roof
Yep.
is not going to leak. That's all
Exactly.
they know, and I'm not going to have to worry about it,
And
right?
that's it. And I can trust them.
And that right, I can trust you because you came here, you did what you say you were going to do. I don't have to worry about this again. I don't have to worry
Yep.
about it ever again. That's what customers want. That's what customers need. Again, whether you are doing a roofing business or you're someone who is doing B2B SaaS, or you are doing something that's deeply technical, like we're going to talk about AI in a minute.
Mhm.
I can't talk to my mom about AI and start talking about language models and all. I just have to tell
Right.
her, hey, this tool helps you do XYZ faster so you can then get to whatever else it is that you want to get to,
Yes.
right?
Yes. We
And
should be
that's
using that for
right,
that
you know,
purpose.
right? It helps you do the thing so that then you
Mhm.
can go on and do all the other things that you want to do. And
Right.
so, yeah,
And
so
the importance is the importance of that, like, yes, home run. Notice how we are emphasizing that you have to do the work first so that AI can then take it to that final just cherry on top, right? Because what we'll tend to do is ask AI to tell us about our business. And that's where I want to encourage our leaders, right?
mhm.
Entrepreneurs, to trust yourself and knowing what you're hearing is the thing, right? That's going to help you all attract more business. So 1000%. And when I get complimented by marketing folks, y'all, it makes me so happy because they know what it's like working with sales folks. Okay, they know. So Anastasia, I appreciate that.
Look, I have been the sales and marketing department at way too many startups to count. So
Hmm.
trust me, I feel your pain. It's me having to communicate to engineering to get the language I need because I'm like, yo, I don't know what that means. Our customer does not care what that means.
Right.
We just need to get to that. Right. So yeah. So yeah.
Exactly.
You're talking to your people right now. So
Hmm.
before we get into the prompt playbook, you said something earlier about the documentation piece. And I can tell you, as someone who has had to do all of this work, that's the piece that actually stresses me out the most. So
Hmm.
before we talk to Gemini, I want you to talk to Gemini's best friend, Gemini Notebook, right? So Gemini Notebook, love it. Right now, you can see a bunch of featured notebooks, recent notebooks. I want you to think of it as you, which like it's taking a minute. It's taking a minute. It always, this is what I tell people, you got to give it time because the minute that I hop in on here, it's always going to do that, right?
Hmm.
So Gemini Notebook is your home base. You want to think of it like if you're building a project, right? And you're going to put in all of your information. So when we talk about your information for your marketing, and just so you know, I whipped this up while you were talking. I whipped all
Nice.
this up when you said this. When you said this, I was like, "Ooh, this is actually the thing that a lot of people need support on." It
Hmm.
is where does all this live, right? You're having customer conversations and you're probably recording them. You're using some kind of tool to record all of that information, whether it is a transcript or an audio recording. You're going to click add sources and you're going to drop that in here, right?
Mm.
All of those transcripts, you're going to drop all of those call recordings in here, okay? You're going to say, hey, here's some of the call notes. Here's some of the notes from the surveys that we've done. You're going to pull your survey responses. You're going to drop that in here, right? If you have stuff that is in your Google Drive, You're going to go to add sources, click Google Drive. This is going to pop my real Google Drive up, but you see what I'm saying. And you're going to pull things from there. And you're going to add it all in. And we called it marketing because I'm stealing that term. It's stolen.
That's right.
It's done. It's done.
It's yours.
And right. And so what you're going to do there is when we talk about taking all that data, because you've gathered a lot of data, you've gotten market reports, you've pulled stuff from offline, you've pulled stuff from in real life. And you're like, now, how do I take that and distill that down quickly to something that is usable? I got you. What you're going to do is come in here and you're going to write your prompt and you're going to say, summarize the top 3 pain points from customer discovery notes. Now, remember, because Gemini is multimodal, you could also just take your audio files and drop them in as well, right? You can take audio files, you can take video recordings like the one that we're doing right now, drop that in as well. It will go in and it'll listen, it'll read, and it'll kind of pull the information from there. So you do not have to just put text, okay?
Love it.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna do the customer discovery notes and cross-reference them. Okay, with our competitive win themes. All right, and every time I'm typing on screen, I have more typos, more everything.
Same.
I just like, it is what it is. It knows what I'm saying. So look at this. Based on the customer discovery notes and competitive intelligence, the following are the top 3 pain points identified among sales team. Cross-reference with our strategic win themes. So we got insufficient account research and pre-call prep, messaging inconsistency and a lack of technical accuracy, workflow friction, and tool fatigue. It's telling you the problems that your customer has articulated to you. Then it also goes in and cites the sources and tells you where it got this information from. Right? So you don't even have to sit down. You can give it the raw information, right? And the thing that I love about Notebook is that it's not pulling from everywhere all at once. It's not going online and looking for things. It is literally contained to the sources that we give it. So you are going to build out essentially your own LM for your business, for your marketing. And what I would suggest is you would have a hub for all of your marketing. Eventually you would build out and put in your brand Bible, put in all of the things, which for those listening, so that's all of your messaging, your tone, your colors, all this stuff, so people know how to effectively communicate your brand. You're going to put all that in there. You're going to have your sales scripts in there because marketing and sales should be working together on developing those sales scripts.
Correct.
Okay? And so you're going to have all of your comms that are customer facing all in here. And then what you're going to be able to do is share this with your team. So your team can go in here and they can just look it up real quick and say, hey, I have a call with this person. This is the objection I'm coming up against. Boom. And it's going to give you the response that you should give based off of the messaging that has been developed over time. So you don't have to guess. You don't have to worry about, is this person just freestyling? Are they winging it? And whatever they're going to do, not going to work right? No, you'll have access to messages that convert, that have been pressure tested, that come from the customer in the customer's language. And you just can dive in, get it all done, and there we go, right?
This is your sales director.
Right.
This is just, everything that you're doing here is what a sales director is supposed to do.
Yeah, and I love that you say supposed to do, because we all know. I tell people all, and I'm saying that, and I'm because Seth, you and I, we are in each other's, we're, same vibe, same space with, sales and marketing. I have told people on multiple occasions, do not hire a sales or marketing person off jump. You do the sales yourself. You do all of this work yourself.
Yes.
And then you hire someone. And the reason I tell them is because you don't know what you don't know. And a salesperson, a good salesperson, they're going to sell you themselves, right?
Yep.
And so
they sure are.
You need to understand your processes. You need to understand everything that you're doing. But so, I just wanted to jump into that before we got into the prompting and all the things, because I'm like, the one thing that gives me the stress is pulling the data together, and then where does it live, right? Because you can add it to your prompts as you go. That's a thing, you can do that. But it's also easier if you just have a central hub where everything lives. And again, you share it within your organization so you know there is consistency across your sales and marketing teams. Because that is a huge issue when there's a lack of consistency from one salesperson to the next.
Yeah, everyone is living in their own silo and using information differently, right? And so this is going to hold us accountable as a sales team to what we are all supposed to be understanding. What is the single source of truth, right? Honestly, this is our single source of truth. This is our North Star. And then this is where we continue to improve. And so to your point about hiring folks to help you with sales, you need something that's duplicatable and something that can be learned easily, and then also can be tested over time. And so that this notebook here allows for you to do all of those things. So thumbs up 100%. I support this. I love it.
Love it. Love it. All right. Now let's get into it, because you spent a lot of time putting together some amazing prompts for the people that they can use to get an understanding of their ICP and how to build out their messaging. So the first prompt, we're going to drop it in. It is long. So I just copied it from here, and I'm going to take it and say, my business is, because we started with residential roofing, so we're going to keep it with residential roofing, serving the suburbs of Atlanta. I'm in Cobb County. So that's what I'm going to say. Okay. So we're going to say Cobb County. Y'all don't need to know exactly where. That's not your business. Years in business. Let's say 5. Approximate average revenue, annual revenue. I'm going to leave it at the 250 to 500. Now, look, guys, you are going to be dropping in your information, right? Plug in your information. My best customers, pay on time. Ooh, can we say that again? Pay on time. They're easy to work with, and they refer others. Describe 3 to 5 of them. So you would put in here what type of person or business they are. Seth, give me 2 or 3 things we can say about the best customer.
The best customer submits documentation early. The best customer, and I mean, we do have paid on time there, so I think that is truly the best customer.
Right.
Let's say submits documentation early, refers others. Yes. Also communicates with us on a regular basis or consistently. We can say that, right?
Clearly and consistently.
There we go.
Because a lot of people just be out here. And so here, what I can tell you is that you can make this as short or as long as you want. You can go in here and give me the full profile of one of your best customers. He lives in this area. She has this type of homeowner's insurance, all of the things, right? Because I want you to be very specific, okay? My worst customer, never on time.
Never happy.
Never on
Nothing
time.
we can do works.
Always complaining, you know. And they nickel and dime.
Yes.
Okay. And then you're going to say, based on this, give me a specific ICP, including demographic details. And again, that's why you want to make sure when you say my best customer, you give me as much info as you can. You want to give me, so we talk a lot right here about these are psychographics. So these are the behavioral things, which are equally as important, if not more so, than your demographics. So age, where they live, what kind of job they go, all these different things that tell me who this person is and where they exist within our socioeconomic frame, right? So you're gonna say, give me all the characteristics.
And it's also in the slide, right? What type of customers give you the least headaches? All those questions that we just went through, you're gonna plug all those answers right here.
All right, and you're gonna say, this is my favorite part here. Be specific. Avoid generic advice. I need something I can actually use in my marketing, right? Because the AI will tend to just give you kind of that overall thing. So let's see what we get here. Okay. And I'm keeping this super open and super, free flowing because we're going to kind of go through and tighten this up, right? So it starts off with, you don't need to win every roof. You just need the right 20 or 30s a year to hit a high profitability with zero headache. That's the first thing, right? So it gives me a tailored strategy to attract more of my best clients and filter out the, I like this, the nightmarish ones. She's being real like nice today. Okay, so you have the established suburban steward. I see that Gemini likes alliteration. Okay, so we're talking about established neighborhoods, so East Cobb, West Cobb. These are just different neighborhoods in Cobb County. Homes, these are when the homes were built. The sweet spots for roof are starting to hit their life limit. And the age of the person is probably 38 to 58. I probably would say, can we tighten that up a little bit? Just because the way that I would speak to, from a messaging standpoint, a 38-year-old and a 58-year-old is different. Right? Married, likely with school-age children or high schoolers, busy schedules, dual income households are high earning single income. Okay, so yeah, there are some things that I probably would tighten up, knowing the lived demographics of these areas, like in Cobb County. And that's where you would come in and you would tell it, hey, hear you. This is a great start. However, what I realized is that the average age of the homeowner in my area is, let's say, 40 years old. They're an aging millennial. They are the couple is dinks, so they're dual income, no kids. Like, I'm going to give it all of that and help it to refine the marketing from there. But I also love what it's given me so far. There's like, they just noticed an active issue. Typical North Georgia summer storm, missing shingles. You got ceiling stains, means there's water, right?
Yep.
So it's giving you everything. Traits of your best customers. High value on organizational clarity, quality and frictionless mindset over lowest bid, respect for boundaries and systems. Can I find this customer? The scope creep, nickel and dimer, communication, chaos, and ghoster. And then it tells you how to put it to work immediately. You know? And so, Seth, questions we have on this before, because I'm just kind of walking them through, because we are on limited time, right?
Sure.
Walking them through where you can kind of tighten this up. Any thoughts you have looking at the response that Gemini gave?
Lots of thoughts, right? Because the ICP, the ICP, this is living, this is breathing, this is always going to be in the state of improvement. Right? This isn't a one-time thing that we do and then we don't come back to it, right? So you have to think of this as your own personal time to better understand and maybe revisit this. I would say once every couple of weeks, right? Maybe even once a month, where you just put some time on the calendar and you come here and you say, hey, based off of what I'm seeing, is this still true? Maybe there are different, psychographics that we are adding to improve on this as we continue to grow and scale in revenue with new customers. So I think that this is amazing. If you scroll down, this is where most entrepreneurs, they spend too much time, right? So
tell me where.
Red flags right here. Boom. Red flag patterns. This is so important, because you want to know quickly whether or not you're wasting your time or not. Am I wasting my time with the wrong folks who are not going to buy? And if you can't identify that quickly, then that means that the time that you're spending trying to convince someone who was never going to buy is the time that you're not giving to someone that's ready to buy, right? So much information here that I think that can continue to get better over time. But again, we're just freestyling right now. And I mean, honestly, I could hand this to a roofing contractor or a business owner today, and they would say, oh, this is really good to have.
Right. There's also, I want to double click too on those red flag patterns, because this is getting into the psychology of entrepreneurs in general. It's okay to say no. It is okay to say no. If no one has given you permission, I'm giving you permission to say no to customers, because the customer who is going to do scope creep, where you all of a sudden you scoped out a project, it's this cost, and now it has become a balloon of a thing, and it should be priced differently based off of how it's grown, but you haven't gone back
Mhm.
and adjusted it. Those types of red flags that they're noticing, they actually will kill your business if you take too many customers over time because you say, oh, I just need a customer, right?
Right.
Some is better than none. No, it's not. Sometimes the hassle, the
Mhm.
juice, you got to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze. If the juice is not
Correct.
worth the squeeze, it is okay to get up from the table and walk away and go spend your time working with people who actually can afford to work with you and want to work
Mhm.
with you and are excited and delighted to work with you. Because then they go off and tell their friends, hey, I need to go hire Seth to come and fix my roof.
Exactly.
There
Yep.
you go. So go ahead. Because I'm like, I want to do one refining point with this because we do have a little, because I want to make sure
Okay,
we
let's
have
do
time.
it.
All
Let's
right,
do
so
it.
we got a little refining question that I want to come in. So where does this ideal customer already spend their time online and offline? Because you see, it tells you a lot about the customer, what to look for, the mindset, what they value, their situations, all those things. But I got to run ads for this customer. I got to figure out
Right.
where I'm going to meet this customer, right? So tell me the things. Where does this person hang out? Okay, where they spend your ideal client isn't looking for entertainment when they're online. They are looking for localized news, local recommendations, and solutions to problems. Next door, baby. Yes.
Next
And I'm
door.
just
That's
saying that.
good.
I'm just going to say the number of times I have been on Nextdoor late at night with my husband and we are just cackling at the content that's there. But you
Mhm.
always do see a lot of people say, hey, I need a roofer. Hey, I need somebody to fix my deck. And there is
Wow.
one guy who we see every time we see someone say, hey, I need, it's this one dude. I always see him. He's the first response. Like he has to have
Wow.
something set up that when somebody's
Mhm.
like, I need this type of work, he's like, call me immediately. Boom, call me.
He's
And
on it.
when I tell you, we
He's got
look
his
for
ICP
him
down.
in the right, because he knows. He knows.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, we look for him in the responses. We're like, where's our boy at tonight? You know,
That's hilarious.
Facebook neighborhood. Like it's wild, right? They also tell you digital news outlets, newsletters,
Mhm.
review channels, where they spend their time IRL, right? Youth sports complexes, okay? Grocery store. So you need to be going to Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, the Avenue at we bougie. Avenue at East
Mhm.
Cobb, Marietta Square. You know, they're telling you fitness clubs that you should be hanging out at. Going to the HOA meetings. And then how do you turn this? So they're giving you the knowledge, right? It gives you the high level
Mhm.
knowledge. But then because this is your marketing analyst, this is your marketer that we've set up, you're going to turn that into actionable tactics. What to do so that you can actually take this
Wow.
information and use it to push your business to the right customers at the right time. I
This
love
is amazing.
sponsorship. Like this is like when I tell you this is
Wow.
I love this. Strategic partnerships you can build, you know, active job sites, go out to neighborhoods, put up high quality yard signs, you know, while you're doing active work. We have people in our
Mhm.
neighborhood who do that actually. They come while they're doing active work, they knock on your door and they give you little cards and things like that. Make sure you put a policy. Look, get on that Nextdoor. If you are the person doing home stuff and you are not on Nextdoor, you're doing any kind of home improvement, this is your free game. Get on Nextdoor. Please get on Nextdoor. It also is great entertainment. So it is amazing entertainment. So we got 5 minutes left. I just think gives you a great foundation. Look at this. The stronger the ICP, the more effective the GTM. The more you know your customer, the more you understand that person, what causes them to buy. And look, Gemini telling you where to find them, what to do. And the more information I give it, let's think about this. Had I been able to sit
Mhm.
down and say, my ideal customer is Paul. Paul is 40 years old, has 2 kids who are in school. This is the area that Paul lives in Cobb County. He works in this type of job. The more information I can feed to it, the more specific it's going to give me because the
Mhm.
outcomes are only as good as the input. That's why I started off with getting into Notebook because you're going
Right.
to take all of those customer calls that you have, you're going to take all of the data that you're doing and you're researching, your surveys. You're going to even take the data from the customers you've won. Just say, hey, this is who our typical customers are. You're going to put all of that in there, and it's going to use that to give you a very detailed ICP based off of who is actually purchasing now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can take that information and use it to say, who are some other ICPs who are adjacent to that? It's my Destiny's Child theory. You want Beyonce, you also gonna get Michelle and Kelly. So you're gonna
okay now. I love that. I love that.
You know, like I'm telling, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this, Seth. I've been
true to this.
In it. Okay.
I know.
And so,
I know it.
And so you're gonna pull all of this together using the AI because it helps you scale. Because again, I'm a team of one when I go out and I'm working, right? Most of our entrepreneurs who are watching today are teams of one, you know, or maybe two. Mm-hmm. And you have contractors and you're like, how do I get all of these things done? I have to be the marketer, the accountant, the salesperson, all the things.
Right.
I don't have time to be all the things. So this is how you train Gemini to be the things for you. So with that, we got 4 minutes. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then what's the takeaways, the wrap ups? And then we're going to get Joey back up in here so we can make sure everybody has a great summer Friday and can clock out and relax.
I love it. I love it. I would say that this should be exciting, right? I think sales, when you get into the roadmap and understanding what are the right things that we need to do, the pre-work, and you can be confident in the fact that you know that what you're doing is going to lead to more effective strategy, it's something to get excited about, right? Having access to resources, like you said at the top of the call, is so important for small business owners, and having the right type of resources. So I would say take this as an opportunity to maybe spend a couple hours, either this weekend, why not this weekend, right? Apply immediately and just see what you come out with, right? See what you come out with, see if it changes the way that you think about your business, see if it gives you some insights that you probably didn't pull out. It can revive your energy for everything that you do. And I am a person that preaches energy, right? It is a transfer of energy into business. Customers feel it, you feel it, right? And so sometimes you need that revival, and sometimes that will come from what is the real work that we're doing, and why do I have something so special here? And once you do this type of work and you can pull and you can extrapolate out of your mind and then put it into something like this, it will absolutely do that. So I would say prioritize, and y'all let us know how it works.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I'm sitting back there watching. I'm like, oh, this is, and I'm going to share this afterward. People in this space of supporting entrepreneurs and people in general, they'll drop the term masterclass, I think, way too much. Right. But I can't lie. This was one of those. So to everyone watching, in the 130 seconds we have left, I'll say this, right? I said at the outset, you're in for a treat and you got a treat, right? So super quick, Seth, how can people get in contact with you? And then Anastasia, I'll say the same thing for any other kind of final words you want to say.
Seth? Absolutely. LinkedIn is the best place to reach me. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. So please send me a connection request, send me a message. We'll get these assets over to you as quick as possible. Also, my email, if you're a little old school, it's seth@trueseedgroup.com. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you all.
Awesome. And Anastasia, anything on your side? Any things that people should know about Google or things they can get from them?
Yeah. So first off, connect with me on LinkedIn. I post tons of content there. I will be sharing a lot about what I have upcoming, all the different trainings that we're going to be doing. So definitely be sure to connect with me. I also am going to be dropping the link for you to do small group coaching. I'm going to put that into the comment because I know we have issues with how the comments are actually showing through on StreamYard. They don't actually show up in LinkedIn the way they should. So I'm going to put it in LinkedIn when I share the recording, where you can go in and sign up for a small group with me.
Awesome sauce. And then also Google has complimentary AI certificates and things of that nature. Anything you want to share on that, Anastasia?
Yeah, and thank you, Joey, for reminding me. So you want to go to grow.google.com, and you will be able to get complimentary access for small business owners. It is very imperative that you hear the small business owner part, because they're going to ask you for your EIN. You get complimentary access to our AI professional certificate. It's going to give you all of the ground floor of how to best use AI in your day-to-day within your business. You also, if you are not a Workspace customer, I think still get 3 months of Workspace free if you are not already a Workspace customer. All right. So check it out.
There it is. Well, good stuff, y'all. Again, told you would be in for a treat, and you got a treat. So I'll just leave you with what we say here at Goody Nation. One, stay magnetic, kind of stay together with the types of people that make you better. And then 2, outwork yesterday, y'all. See you later. Peace out.